Off-Road presents the SA Off-Road Championship 2006. Round 2, the Nissan Sugarbelt 400. The second round of the National Championship Series got off, and annexed the KwaZulu-Natal capital Pietermaritzburg with a street party the night before the start of the prologue. And Motortown in the picturesque town was awash with the colour, sights and sounds of automobiles of just about any shape and variety. The drivers didn't let the signs put them off, and of course the navigators would say typical. But out in the sugarcane, rolling hills and heat of Eston just outside Maritzburg, drivers would have to heed the calls of their co-drivers because there was a lot at stake. After round 1 of the series in the Western Cape, which saw a whole lot of new teams, new combinations and the established ones do battle, there was an air of feverish activity, last-minute anxious tension and some very expectant expectations out there. Leaders Hannes Grobler and co-driver Francois Jordan were expecting to just pick up where they left off after their opening win of the series in their Nissan Navara Special Production Class car. That left them with a 6-point gap over the Ford of Neil Woolridge and Kenny Scholthammer in the production car category.
It's a tough event. It's tough on the driver and the navigator. The sugarcane, you can't read the road very nicely, so the navigator must be wake up, you know, he must call you right. You can easy overshoot. It's not so easy to reverse or to turn around, you know. So you can't go too fast, and yeah, you must just keep your head here. And as I say, it's a tough event on the driver, navigator and the car.
And Hannes should know, he's won here before and wanted to establish early season dominance. His teammate Duncan Voss also knows that the Sugarbelt route can go sour pretty quickly.
It's a very tricky race. You're driving in the sugarcane, and they've had a lot of rain in the last week, so it's going to be quite wet and damp in places where the sun can't get to dry out the route. There are a lot of drop-offs, so you've got to be careful of that. And then there are forest areas as well, so it's pretty diverse. You go from sugarcane to forests, and the tracks are very narrow but quite fast, so it's quite a tricky event.
One man who had a trick up his sleeve was the Toyota team manager Wami Haddad. He has a driver with much promise, Mark Gronier, in his stable.
The car feels really great. Unfortunately, we haven't had some testing or much testing due to an incident we had, and yeah, we come to the Sugarbelt now, one of the toughest races of the year. Looks like there's been a lot of water, so everything's green. I think it's going to be as slippery as anything, but the Hilux is going to be good. I really think that it is going to be a good vehicle. We're going to see it more as a shakedown for us, because at the end of the day we need to develop the vehicle as well and get it through hopefully get it through to the end and achieve some results.
Gronier and his navigator, the tried and tested Chris Birkin, were also lining up in the all-new SP class. Meanwhile, their teammate Bevan Battled was doing his salesman's rah-rah talk.
Look, at this stage of the game, the cars haven't been tested very much. We're just very happy to be here, and hopefully they're going to be quite a substantial difference between this and the Class Ds. But our support group is growing, because the Toyotas are selling like you can't believe. They sold 2,600 last month, so the guys they're going to be backing us up soon. So we're going to have to start winning in the races to come. So yeah, we just hope to finish and say thanks to the guys that are buying Toyotas, because it's a lovely car, and this SP is going to bring us home, and then we'll get some points and we'll continue from there, you know.
Oh yeah. In the Ford Cup there was smiles all round as they debuted their new SP class well in the Western Cape, and there was this home ground advantage thing too.
Well, everyone says it's our backyard, but in fact I live about 50 kilometers from here, but yeah, it is our backyard. I don't know if it's an advantage in knowing the track or anything like that, but it's always an advantage to be close to home with all your friends, and a lot of our customers are based here, the cars are built here, although Ford is based in Pretoria, so it is home for us, and a lot of our friends are out here, a lot of all the spectators we know very well, and I think a lot will be, although it's a Nissan event, I think there'll be a lot of people rooting for the Ford team, so I think it's exciting. Whether it's an advantage or not, I don't know. It also puts a bit more pressure on us, you know, to perform, but it's a nice race, we always look forward to it.
After a fine 2005 season for the Ford squad, they started off 06 with a bang in the dust of the Cape.
Darling was a fantastic race for us. You know, we finished second overall there, which was far exceeded our expectations because we literally were finishing the car on the way down to Cape Town. So although we haven't had any great revelations and changed a hell of a lot, we've had time to sort out the car and make sure everything works properly, set the suspension up, the brakes now work properly and things like that. We've had a bit more time to sort of just iron everything out. So the car should be strong. In saying that, I think this race is going to be a bit of a leveler because we've had a lot of rain here last weekend. I think you'll find dust on the open roads, but I think the moment there's a bit of long grass or thick sugar cane, or especially in the trees, I think it's going to be treacherous. So I think you might find quite a few cars parked in the sugar cane and in the trees. Hopefully we're not one of them. I think it's going to be a good race.
No doubt about that, but for the Raconics Nissan Hardbody 3.3 Class D team of Kutsiela Beskachny and Johan Gerber, there was a livery change.
Well, Cape Town we had a good race. Not a clean run. We had our little bits of problems there and we got stuck in the famous mud hole like you guys shown us on TV there. Quite embarrassing, but I hope it don't happen again. Yeah, we decided to change the color from gold, which we used for the last 3 years in racing, to white now, and give the sponsors some new exposure. We got a couple of new guys on board, and you know, we hope it's going well. I mean, the Sugarbelt are a very, very rough race. Some of the guys really do underestimate the roughness of this race, but it's a good test for man and machine. We're looking forward to having a good go out there, and hopefully it will go well with us.
The lads formerly in gold were hoping that they'd still be in gold after the 400 k's worth of racing in KZN. The Whitehots, Cliff and Louis knew looks could be rather deceptive.
Sugarbelt's probably one of the hardest races, I think, for the season. It always looks much smoother than what it is, but all these bumps and jumps and cautions and stuff, you got to be very, you got to be very careful in this race. I mean, it's not the fastest guy that wins here. We've had quite a good run at Sugarbelt, done quite well in the past. So we'll just rather take it easy and try and finish the race at least.
For George Barkhuisen and the Roacon Toyota Hilux, it was a second bite at the cherry.
This is the second race that we're going out with the car. Cape Town was our first try. We had some problems in Cape Town, teething problems. We had broken wheel studs that actually took us out of the race, and diff problems that also contributed to that.
Since the first round, though, these lads have spent countless hours ironing out the little teething problems that come with a new vehicle.
Yeah, we've done quite a bit of work on the car, sorted out those problems that we knew of. We're still a little bit under power on the engine side, but yeah, we've got the whole year to sort out the car.
Well, only 7 races to go. In the special vehicle category, the Motorride team with 2 South African champions, Evan Hutchison and Alfie Cox in their stable, were hoping for another win. Brandon Harker stormed to victory in the Western Cape after an absolute blinder, leaving Terry Marsh and Mike Whitehouse in his wake. Matthews and Moore took third, and Moore and Thorne had to settle for 4th place. Harkers, though, had things nicely in focus.
Yeah, although leading, I've done a lot of work to the car, a lot of improvements since the last race, so I'm sure the car will be quicker. I'm very focused on this year's racing and what I have to do and what I need to do. There's no reason to even talk about a championship until probably 3 races to go. So I'm just focusing 1 race at a time. And the Sugarbelt's an awesome race, really tough to finish here. You've got to be very level-headed. You can lose it here in the first hour in the morning very easily. So I'm looking forward to the race, and I'm sure Motorride can have a good finish this time. We've got a strong team this week. And we're ready for the race, so the car's all good, and I'm sure the marking's it's always very good in Sugarbelt, so I'm looking forward to it.
For Harkis's Motorride teammate, the reigning SA off-road champion Alfie Cox, race 1 was not a happy memory, but in typical Coxie style, he's been learning his lessons over and over again.
To get through the forest with those big jumps with this space frame, this bat with all the suspension, for me that's going to be the most exciting thing, to remember going in the pickups before, how you were controlled by the jumps that we've got. There's a lot of jumps, it's very rough and bumpy, and you cannot go flat out in the pickup. So, in the special vehicle, I just can't wait to get there and see what it's going to feel like. I know it's going to be better, I won't have to lift as much, but getting traction down, thinking about getting into the corners, not going in too hard. There's a lot of things that are different in a special. So, yeah, we're going to give it our best shot.
For Gil Nel in his Bozel Truggy, the Darling race was a small victory all by itself.
The Cape race was outstanding again, sand and a nice challenge. We sorted out quite a couple of the smaller teething problems. Hopefully it's the last part. I doubt that you never get to the end of it. But we had a nice race, and we finished, and that's I think that's an achievement for this year already with the car, with all the problems we had. And this one on the Sugarbelt, we got to be careful today because apparently it's pretty wet out there, and when it's wet, it's very slippery in the Sugarbelt. And as we all know, it's dangerous with all the trees and the embankments and everything. But we're going to take it easy and preserve the car, and let's see. Tomorrow's still a long day, and we'll do our best.
For Naeem Mozaji and his navigator Nazim Moti and the TTR Racing Raceco Chevy with its big 5.7-litre engine, the Nissan Sugarbelt 400 brought back good memories. He debuted here just 12 months ago.
Started racing about a year ago. Last year I did the first Sugarbelt in the Class B Sandmaster. It was unsuccessful, we were time barred. But then we bought this vehicle, the Class S Raceco, in September last year. Our first outing was Petersburg. And this is going to be our first Sugarbelt in it, and we're looking forward to it. We've got a bit more power than last year, so hopefully we definitely shouldn't be time barred. And then we just look out for, the sugarcane. It's a different terrain. It's slippery in the morning, so you need to take it easy and watch for the mud. There's a lot of drop-offs, so it is a bit, it's a nice race.
So after all the pleasantries were done, it was time for the prologue. It was slated in for the Aston Sports Club start and finish area, and in between the field of 93 entrants would face 40 muddy, slippery, tricky and energy-sapping kilometres to determine the starting order for the second day's racing. But before that, there was the draw for the starting order. Former national champ Francois Jordan smiled broadly as he appropriately drew number 1 for the host team, and he and driver Hannes Schroble were off to a flying start. Teammates Duncan Foss and Ralph Pitchford, 2 more national champions, were off next. The sugarcane was high, and therefore the navigator's job was crucial. For entrant A16, Alfie Cox and Henny Tersteger, this was a classic mistake, but luckily it didn't cost them too much time. For their teammate Brandon Harkes, though, the Nissan Sugarbelt Prologue ride would be a continuation of his Western Cape form. He just single-handedly ploughed his way to a very impressive clocking. The big Ford Ranger and the smooth operator's hands of Neil Woolridge and Kenny Schulthammer was in good voice. That 4-litre machine was purring like a happy kitten. Henry Kirstein and Dion de Kock's Bat Nissan 3.5 also ripped along, but true to their word, they were cautious. On the other hand, Evan Hutchison and his co-driver Akim Bergman were letting it all hang out, and there was lots of it to hang out too. But like virtually everyone else in the field, they overshot as well and had to correct. Just a little bit of fury there, we figure, but Hutchison clocked the second fastest time of the day despite that mishap. Another man who's known to get the best out of a car is young Mark Cronje. He and co-driver Chris Perkin were piloting the Toyota Castrol Hilux to 5th place and a time of 32 minutes and 40 seconds. Will Battershill and Reg Sutton's Jimco literally stood out like a sore thumb with its red livery. For a reason, they notched up the 6th fastest time of the day and upset a few big-name teams in the process. Talking colours, the Century Property Racing colours have been part of the off-road scene for a while, and Colin Matthews and Alistair Stubbs made sure that it still would be for a while as they rocketed to a 4th best time in class and 7th overall. Nardis Alberts and Colin Hunter and their back spec 2 were also impressive and were only 55 seconds off the pace set by Harkes for the space frame vehicles. The The Nashua Mobile Racing bat containing Archie Rutherford at the wheel and Craig Doubtfire calling won the S-Class battle for supremacy by 33 seconds. While Bevan Bartelt and Robin Houghton finished 22nd, but they were 5th in the brand new SP class, and it was certainly a wave they were planning to ride on the next 4 stages of the next day. Their rearview mirror was full of Clint Gibson and Michael Brown in yet another fire engine red back Chevy-powered 5.7 litre. They were launching a big second half assault on the prologue and took 11th place. Meanwhile, there was drama for top cars Dion Skuman and Jan Syme in their Nissan hardbody. But even a hardbody can only take so much. They'd shared off the left rear wheel and were stranded in the middle of the road. Marcus Taylor and Mark de Chalane steamed by on their way to 16th place overall and a prologue win in Class B. The Leo Connick's Internet Colloy of John Moore and Ashley Thorne was rolling along at a fair old clip, and they were 7th in class with a 33-minute and 40-second clocking. As for Shamir Varayawa and VZ Van Sale in their Total Ford Ranger, they were more than 2 minutes off the pace set by the Nissan Navara of Duncan Foss and Ralph Pitchford, but they were still 5th in the SP class. But they did wrong slot just a few times. Reigning Class A champion Terence Marsh and his co-driver Michael Whitehouse in their Nashua Mobile bat took lucky 13th place, but were exactly 90 seconds down on Harkis in class. The battle lines were drawn. As Rob Gurney and Graham Steinbach were limping back to the finish line, the brothers Weichel, Cliff and Louis were piling on the pace. They were the first Class D car back at the overnight stop with a fine 20th place for the Toyota Hilux 3.4. As for Gurney and Steinbach, they placed 69th. At the top end, though, it was Forsen Pitchford with a 24-second win and no less than 3 crews across the line in exactly the same time. If you look closer, there were 6 Sandmasters in the top 10. The question then was that saying something about the conditions already? We asked Alfie Cox.
Well, we thought it was going to be a lot slippery than it was, but yeah, it was with the grass and it's very green out here, so in some places it was slippery, but for me it's the first time that I'm actually in the Sandmaster. I mean, because the first time in Cape Town the engine broke after 20 kilometers and the sugarcane caught me out. It caught the front wheel, not having any mud guards, and pulled me into the cane, and I think we've probably lost about 6-7 minutes in the time trial trying to get the car out. But so we're going to come from behind tomorrow, but you know, we have to get points at the moment, and that's, I just have to take one step at a time.
Cox was indeed 6 minutes off the pace, way back in 49th place, and they had a mountain to climb. For Manfred Schroeder in 18th place in the smaller Ford, there was a lot of wheel spinning.
It was still quite slippery, so power didn't really count too much today, you know, wheel spinning quite a lot. I mean, the car's handling very well. You know, the car's 200 kgs lighter than it was last year, and no, it went very well. We took it nice and easy over the very rough stuff. Tomorrow's a long day. It's a hard race on the car and on a driver, so you know, tomorrow's definitely, we'll see what happens there.
Conversely, Schroeder's teammate Neil Woolridge's drivetrain was not well at all.
We didn't have a very good day at all. The car was fine, but the driver was up to maggots. Just one of those days I just couldn't get in the groove, brake too early, then brake too late, and didn't get the corners right. Just one of those bad days at the office. So I think we lost quite a bit of time. The route and everything was fine. We made 1 or 2 mistakes, but I don't think anything can be blamed except the driver, really.